Wow, guys. He did it. I mean, what a presidential reset. This Tuesday's State of the Union was a huge win for President Trump in the sense that he didn't use a racial slur or talk about his big red nuclear button. I mean, that's where we're at in this country. The bar is so low that all he has to do is not be outwardly racist or talk about killing anybody, and the media praises him for being strategically toned down. I mean, it's not like he had any major policy announcements or talked about really anything substantive for the future. He just kind of read the words that were scrolling in front of him. One of my favorite pieces was this: "We have ended the war on American energy, and we have ended the war on beautiful, clean coal." Poetic and true. You know, the president also offered support to the people of Texas and Mississippi and Puerto Rico, all the places that were affected by the hurricanes last fall. Funny enough, though, on Tuesday, the day of the State of the Union, FEMA officially started to cut off aid to Puerto Rico. So, that's great. Something that wasn't mentioned in the State of the Union were people like Jim Comey, Robert Mueller, or any of that, pesky Russian stuff, because there have been a few developments over the past week or so. If you haven't heard, the past weekend, the New York Times released a piece that revealed that in June of last year, just a month into Robert Mueller's special investigation, the president called for him to be fired. The only reason he wasn't is because White House attorney Don McGahn said that he would resign if the president did that, citing the end of the presidency. So yeah, Trump backed down. But even since that article was released, there have been some crazy things that have happened with Russia. First and foremost, the president, along with his administration, even adults in the room, like Chief of Staff John Kelly, have called for the immediate release of a memo written by House Intelligence Embarrassment Devin Nunes, citing that the FBI conspired against the Trump campaign, and he has proof of it. Now, Trump's own Justice Department has said that something about this memo doesn't smell right, and that releasing it would be extremely reckless. But I mean, when has that ever stopped President Trump before? Also, you might or might not remember that back in August of last year, the Republican-controlled Congress pretty much unanimously voted, I'm talking 530 to 5 in both the House and the Senate, to implement sanctions against Russia for the meddling in the 2016 election. Now, on Monday, President Trump, who is under investigation for obstruction of justice and for the very ties to that meddling, announced that he will not be implementing those sanctions. I mean, that's ballsy. That is crazy ballsy. Think about it this way. It's almost as if you got caught cheating with someone that your partner does not like because it's been super weird ever since that thing a few years ago. But they have some mutual friends and they kind of work nearby, so they have to be cordial sometimes. But instead of saying, I'm sorry, I did that, I apologize, you just said, actually, my buddy knows that you cheated way worse, and so you've just made this whole thing up to look better by comparison. And all your friends are like, yeah, okay, maybe that's true, but maybe you should just delete that person from your contacts in your phone so we can all try and move past this together. But you're like, no, why would I do that? In fact, I'm just gonna call that person right now. I mean, it's like we're living in a really terrible season of Real Housewives, like the worst one that Andy Cohen could ever conceive of, except it's not the Real Housewives, it's the federal government. So, what can we do about it? Well, there's luckily a couple things we can do. If you live in South Carolina, call Senator Lindsey Graham. He has a bill that would protect Robert Mueller against President Trump. If you live in New Jersey, call Senator Cory Booker. He also has a bill that he's trying to work into immigration negotiations as they progress. If you don't live in either of those states, that's totally fine. Call both of the senators you do have and tell them that they need to support Senator Graham and Senator Booker. And finally, if somehow you're viewing this in a world where the memo has not been released yet, call your representative in Congress and tell them that you see this memo for what it is: a fruitless attempt to rile the Trump base and undermine our federal intelligence agencies. It's a distraction and we know it. Guys, times are crazy. Congress has lost its mind. Coal jobs are not coming back, and Puerto Rico is still 33% without power. So, like I always say, call your senators. Till next week.